this is KTB Vlogs or TBZ Production here, as I'm back doing a new video here on my blog channel. I could have done this on my main channel, TBZ Production, but I decided to do it on here, of course, since that's where the other video I actually had done previously about this discussion. And of course, as the last video I done, of course, that was I think last of the Fate Fighting All Thy Enemies episodes. So I hope you guys enjoy those, because those were crazy and kind of surprising now that Fate is no longer around. So that's pretty good for that. But of course, as this video basically is kind of a second video to the other video I actually did. And of course, we was talking about my book series that I just started. And of course, as that video, I was talking about the very first book, of course, and that would be An Evil Thing. And of course, I guess I can show you guys the picture here, as you guys can see. And of course, that was the last video I did do was talking about this book here. So, of course, as you see by the thumbnail and the picture, of course, we will be talking about the second book in the book series, as we did talk about this book the last time. So we're going to be talking about the second one. And the second book, of course, in the series. Today we're going to be talking about An Evil Thing 2, The Lost Son. And this one, of course, I actually was very excited to actually have this book here made. And I definitely like the cover of this book. And it's pretty awesome to seeing it in my hand and seeing it in person. And it kind of gives me like a good feeling of seeing something you created in your own hands. And so, like how I did with the first video, I talked about the history of how I did this story and all the stuff like I done in the first video I done. That was, I think, back in January when I talked about that for the first book. So we're going to be diving in and talking about this story as well. And I'll give you guys the brief summary. I don't want to tell you the whole story from beginning to end. But if I ever will do a video like that one day of reviewing each book and how I feel about it, I always kind of see that, I wish I was like in the mindset of an author, even so I am an author now. So I wanted to do something like that. So of course, as for this story is basically the sequel to the first one. So as this was the first book, and this is the second one. It makes sense why it's called 2, because it's the sequel. Originally, I was not going to call it like just the title, like what the series is, and I would call it just The Lost Son. But it would kind of make sense of what numbers this book is, or what part of the series it is. So it'd be kind of confusing. That's why I kept it with numbers and stuff. So let's dive into the story of this one. Of course, this story, it takes place 7 years after the events of what happened in the first book. And of course, the character that you guys know that was on the cover of the first book, Trey Alexander. Trey Alexander basically was dealing with the trauma that he had dealt with Gabriella from the first book. And kind of surprising, basically having, of course, midlife, or having crazy nightmares of her still trying to kill him and all that stuff, and kind of making see where his character is in this story. He's kind of still dealing with what he went through in the first book. So as the story continues after that, we have a couple of brand new characters in the story as well. And of course, this character here that you guys see on the book cover, of course, is actually the main, I guess, say, antagonist in the story, and his name is Triton. And Triton, of course, was has something to do with behind Gabriella's backstory in some ways, and maybe you guys can already solve the puzzle here of why. Okay, what does it have to do with him? And you have to read what happens at the end of this book. Kind of left you like a what's going to happen next in some ways. So that's what this book comes into play. So as I kind of give you guys a little spoiler of the book, of course, Gabriella dies at the end of the first story. If you guys read it, and she was alive at the beginning of this one because the story in the beginning actually takes place right after the events of what happened in the first one, and then I have a 7-year time jump. Then you see Trey Alexander again, and you see his what he's been dealing with, having nightmares and all this stuff, and it kind of makes you want to connect with his character a lot. And his character development in this story was actually pretty great, and I kind of like that for him. And of course, for Triton here, of course, he will be a character you will see maybe later in the series once I get deeper into it. I got to love this cover of him on the cover. He looks great. Of course, he has the same almost glowing red eyes, just like Gabriella. And I guess to some, like I try to keep it. I don't want to spoil what the book will be and all this stuff because yes, it has something to do with him in this story, and you kind of will see some of it as you pieces the pieces to the puzzle as you read this story. I got to like this story a lot. I did enjoy writing this one because I actually was thinking of this story when I released the first book, and I was like, I got to make the sequel. And this one, I had so much fun writing this one, and it was a great story from beginning to end. Gotta like I like the tone, like the mystery, suspense. Actually has some supernatural in it, and of course, his character, of course, Triton, is a great character to actually, of course, visualize and see for yourself. Like, it's pretty great. So, what I like about this story, of course, as of me when I first wrote it, it had a great link of what the story would be, and it actually, I liked how the story was going. Um, as for this one, this was the first story I actually wanted to be a good length, or longer. Since I realized this story is kind of only like 8, or I'd say like 8 pages longer than the first one. As I realized, as I looked at the book for the first one, it was 116 pages. I did say it was 117 when I first did it, and I realized it was 116. So, yeah, so I kind of surprised. I thought this book was 117 pages, but it's not. But for this one, it's 124 pages. So it's a pretty good length. It actually has 13 chapters, and it has an epilogue. And so it would have been nice if this would have a 14th chapter like the first one, because I actually added the 14th chapter. But what was nice about this writing of this book, of course, as now I'm going to go into the history, when I put the manuscript into the formatting of the book and everything, it was already 100 pages. So I was like, wow, that's pretty great. Like this book was already longer, and I was like, maybe I can add some stuff into the story to increase it and make it a lengthy book. So I kind of like the fact of this for this book, and I think it's a great read to follow. And of course, this book came out last month. Of course, as right now as you're watching this video, of course, this is almost. And so today is the 24th. So as of today is the 24th of March, of course. And this book already been out since February. I have to say I'm kind of glad people actually were getting this book and they were getting the first one as well. Because this month, of course, I guess I can go ahead and show you guys now, since it will be a video for it by itself. And when I make the next one, that will be the third book. Actually, will have a video for itself, and it just got released this month in March. And so, stay tuned for that video. So, okay, now I'm gonna go deeper dive down. That's part of the history there. For this book, I actually did not have no problems of making this one. I actually did the formatting very fast and very quick. So when I did the formatting of this book, I actually did the formatting in January when I released the first book here. So when I did the formatting of this one, it didn't took me that long at all. Since the first one was kind of like the one I was, taking my time and putting things together and all that stuff. This one did not take me long to do at all. It was pretty quick, pretty fast. I already had the summary of the book and what I thought of it in my head and everything. And when you read it for yourself, I mean, I have to say I kind of like how it looks inside the book and everything. And I mean, it looks great. And for a 124 page for this book, I have to say it's very worth the read. So, as of my final thoughts of this book here, I have to say, if you guys check out this book here, it's available on Amazon. And I actually will be doing videos of talking about the book series on TikTok soon and start promoting them there and start sharing to other people. But since then, I'm actually pretty impressed of me actually doing showing the book around a lot on I say TikTok, and I think I was promoting the book on Facebook, as I told you guys in the first video of the first book, that I was dealing with scammers, marketers, and all that stuff. And like I said, I don't use Facebook right now as I'm speaking to you guys in this video. I don't use Facebook now to share my book or nothing like that, because those scammers, they'll come out of nowhere trying to get your information, act like the book is theirs, damn well it's not yours, and that's my name on the front of the book, so you can't say it's yours. And like I said, it was just a bunch of crazy mess. It was all behind on the video of this book. So I told you guys in that video about marketers saying this, their book, and all that stuff, and crazy bullshit. But like I said, I did promote this book on Facebook the last time I was on Facebook, but I actually got a lot of attention when I started to doing the Amazon ads and the promotional and doing all that stuff, and that's why I'm kind of glad I did pretty well. Of course, some people actually bought this book and some people enjoyed it, so I was happy for that. I mean, it's a good achievement. So as of now, of course, this book, I have to say, you guys will definitely enjoy this story. I have to admit, I'm actually kind of in between, like, which one is better in some ways. But of course, I always liked this one because this was one of the favorite ones I actually like to write. Because the first one was kind of was quick because it used to be a short story that I wrote for school, and so when I did this one, it was very simple because it was a short story, and I decided to turn it into a book. So like the sequel, it was very simple and very like I thought of it out of my head, and it has to follow what happened in the last story. So it can't be like, oh, retcon that and this happened. Like no, I want to make sure that all the books actually connect to the previous one. So like if there was a number 10, it has something to do with the previous ones and the previous books in the series. So it can't be like, oh, that don't connect to the first one. I don't do that. I don't like retconning and oh, don't that doesn't connect or nothing like that. I want all the books to connect to each other. So overall, guys, I hope you guys actually enjoyed this video of me talking about the second book here, An Evil Thing 2, The Lost Son. And of course, this book is available on Amazon right now, and you can get the book as I have the actual link to Amazon. And you guys will go straight to the book series, of course, and the first book is there as well. And of course, the third book, even though this is not the video about it, it's going to be there too, since it's actually got released this month in March, the beginning of March. So that's basically it for this video here. Hope you guys enjoy it, what you guys think, and definitely this story here is a great to read. And I have to say, I will be making another video talking about the book series, like fully talk about the series, how the series will be. So stay tuned for that video because I might make that in April. So that will be soon, of course, after I talked about this story here or this book. And I think this one gonna be kind of be the one that's gonna have a lot to talk about, since this one was a sequel to this one. Well, third one is a sequel as well, so it's all three of the books actually connect to each other. So anyway, check out An Evil Thing 2, The Lost Son, or check out the first book, An Evil Thing, and check out the third book, An Evil Thing 3, Dark Company. Of course, that one will be coming out soon for a video. And yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. Hope you guys enjoy. Stay tuned for more videos, and see you guys next time, and peace.